Let's get back to the story that Tottenham have agreed a deal to sign former Chelsea forward Timo Werner. So then, what will Spurs fans make of this move? Let's ask Ricky Sachs from the Last Word On Spurs podcast. Ricky, thank you very much for joining us this evening. A very good evening to you then. Timo Werner, come as a surprise to you, this one?
Yeah, bit of a surprise, but excited at the same time. I think for Spurs fans out there, we were hopeful and expecting to be busy during this January transfer window. I feel the FA Cup tie against Burnley really represents the fact Spurs need to do business in a couple of key areas that will hopefully strengthen us for the rest of the season. Of course, losing Min Son, obviously away with career at the moment, and obviously a number of players to the AFCON. And I think one of the areas that, on the back of last night, most fans would have felt needs identifying is the creativity, is the final third of Tottenham. And that's where Timo Werner hopefully fits in for Spurs. I know that his goal-scoring record over the last 4 or 5 years could be questionable, but I think what's really key here is that Ange is the man that's driving the signing. He seems very keen to work with the player. It's really for Tottenham, look, a very much low risk but high reward move when you consider the fact it's only a loan move, obviously with an option to buy at a fairly decent price for Tottenham. And it's in an area of the pitch that Spurs most certainly need some support and some help in. And it's a player that ultimately has played in the Premier League before, albeit has got a point to prove. But what I like about Ange is when it comes to players, there's no doubt about it, he selects the profile rather than the player. And he's obviously looking for someone that can really have that burning ambition and desire to want to go and prove people wrong. And I think Timo Werner's first impression on the Premier League, let's be honest about it, didn't take everybody by storm. And the fact that Ange views the player as perfect for the system, the player wants to play under Ange Postecoglou, it seems like a very, very exciting move for both parties and hopefully can be a real success for a good 6 months and who knows beyond that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ricky, what's your hunch? Do you see this potentially turning into a long-term fit for Tottenham and Werner?
Hopefully. I mean, listen, I think there's no doubt about it that even when Harry Kane was here, Spurs really struggled to find somebody that could come in and play that alternative striker role. And even now, Spurs with Richarlison, and with no disrespect, before last night, the guy got 5 in 5. There is still that question as to whether Richarlison can be Spurs' main striker. And look, there's no doubt Werner has got ability. He's proved that in the Bundesliga. He's played in the Champions League as well. He's got a good European pedigree. And it maybe just takes the right manager to get the best out of him. And let's be honest about it, I think with Ange so far, you know, every player that he's worked with to some degree, in my opinion, has improved. And hopefully Timo Werner can be the latest in a long line of those that does come in, hits the ground running under Ange Postecoglou. I think what's really, really key, I must say, for Tottenham is that in previous windows under different managers, this ultimate facet of the word club signing was used. And I think what's really key about the players that Ange is bringing in is that these are players that he has identified personally, he wants to work with, and ultimately he's being backed by the owners, and that's really, really important. I think Ange's start to the season, for me, ultimately deserves that opportunity to have players that come in that he wants to work with to take Tottenham to that next level. And Spurs are in a really, really exciting position going in to the start of 2024. Obviously into the next round of the FA Cup, going really, really well in the league. And at the moment, I feel Spurs is a club that any player would want to join. They'd love to play Postecoglou football. And look, I think for Timo Werner, it's a great opportunity for him. It's a great opportunity for Tottenham. I don't see anything here but a positive. You know, again, there's no real fee being paid out here. I think what's really key for Tottenham along with this one is they do get that deal done for Radu Dragusin, of course, the centre-back. Because I feel any Spurs fan watching Tottenham in the last 4, 5, 6 weeks and has seen the amount of injuries Spurs have picked up, the centre-back, along, of course, with some forward and a creative threat is really, really important. So it's important Spurs don't lose what is the sole focus of this window and obviously do improve the central defence, which I know they're working, of course, with that signing, hopefully, of Radu Dragusin. But Timo Werner, for me, represents a low-risk, high-reward, and one Spurs, for me, it's a great opportunity that will be taken ahead here.
Given the start that Tottenham have made under Ange Postecoglou, what do you think is success this season, Ricky, come sort of the end of season? Where do you have to finish in the league in particular to deem this a success for Ange?
Well, again, I think given the nature of the Spurs' start to the season and the way the media, with no disrespect, were talking up Tottenham, I feel given where Spurs are in and around that kind of top four, I feel Tottenham as a minimum now have to secure European football. I think even Ange would say he'd be disappointed had Spurs not go on to do that. But I don't think it's out of the question now. Spurs, with the opportunity of bringing James Maddison, obviously back from injury, the likes of Mickey van der Ven returning from training. When you think again, they'll have Huminson coming back, the guys from AFCON, Yves Basuna, Pat Matassar, hopefully with a good January transfer window. There's no reason why Spurs can't finish in and around those Champions League places. And please God, go on a really good FA Cup run and hopefully end this horrendous run without a trophy. I'm sick of talking about it on Last Word On Spurs, just how long it's been without a cup. So it would be absolutely marvellous to have a long cup run. Can Ange finally break the cup drought we've had along the top four finish? That would be incredible. But again, we can't get too carried away. It's his first season, it's feet under the table, but we're playing some wonderful football in large periods of his reign so far. And he's done this already with one hand tied behind his back, given the amount of injuries and the amount of suspensions that man has had to navigate. So, look, I'm really happy that it appears Spurs are backing him in this window. The key is get the players in early. We've got a busy, busy January ahead of us in terms of games coming up and players hopefully coming back. So the more head can be back in the beginning, the better. But ultimately, whatever keeps Ange happy, Tottenham push the boat out for him.
OK, Ricky, I'm going to give you a dilemma then here. Come the end of the season, what would you prefer? FA Cup or top four, but finishing above Arsenal as well?
Oh, man, what are you doing to me on a Saturday night here? Look, I'm an old romantic, right? I love the cup, so I'd be doing myself a disservice and those that watch Last Word On Spurs, if I did not sit here and say I would do everything for Spurs to win an FA Cup. I think it'd be really special in Ange's first season if Tottenham could get this trophy drought off their back and, yeah, get an FA Cup. But listen, I'm not going to be put in that situation. I think Tottenham can finish in the top four. They can still, in my opinion, even now with Arsenal's position in the league, there's no reason why Spurs will have a good start to the second half of the season. There's no reason why Spurs can't be on par or finish above Arsenal and win an FA Cup. So I'm going to be greedy. Why not? I want to be as a Spurs fan. I don't think there's any reason why we can't finish in the top four. There's no reason why we can't win the FA Cup and we can finish above Arsenal. OK,
there you go. 3 out of 3. I'm taking FA Cup as your answer, though, Ricky. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, my man. Always a pleasure.